and welcome back to my Chatty Ramble podcast. As you know by now, I am Caroline, the original Dragon Lady, and my guest today is the lovely, lovely Jackie White. Now, I met Jackie a few years ago. I think I came down actually, Jackie, to you. It's when you were running the Southampton Positive Living Group, and you had the most incredible numerologist doing a talk, and this poor lady, the hall was packed, and this poor lady, I felt she felt obliged to do a reading for everybody in the hall, just love her. I think she ran out of voice in the end. So that's where I met Jackie, and Jackie was really brave and very kind enough to give me my first platform of talking to a, a group through her positive living group in Southampton about the dragons. I can remember being absolutely bloody terrified. And it was a big group too. I'd never spoken. I think there's about 40 people there that night, and I've never spoken to so many people about dragons, but it was a good night. So, Jackie, thank you so much for joining me.
Well, thank you for asking.
Oh, pleasure, pleasure. So, come on, tell me about you. Where did you start? Because obviously, we know about we know, or I know about the Southampton Positive Living Group. But where did your spiritual journey start? Where did you sort of what did you cut your teeth on?
Well, that would be my wonderful dad, who would have been 113 today.
Oh, happy birthday in spirit, Dad.
Absolutely, yeah. So through losing him at a young age, um, I was 21, and oh, I idolised him. And people say you put them on a pedestal once they've passed, but I mean, he was there anyway, without a doubt. But losing him so young, I just wanted to. I didn't go straight into spirituality, but I started going along. My mum went to for a reading, and that woman said that my dad would wait on the next plane for her. I knew nothing.
Yeah.
So the next plane of existence for her, and I was devastated, distraught, because I thought, why isn't he going to wait for me? So
Oh,
I had to go and see her, but I didn't feel that she had anything like my dad there. She called him Ernie, which he was not an Ernie. Um, and then she said, "Oh, if you want him to wait, he will." Well, my dad would have been more definite than that. He definitely would wait for me if I'm asking him to. I thought. So nothing resonated. And so I was just starting to get a bit more interested in spirituality, and I found the Oddfellows in Totton. They were doing a spiritual meeting each week, and honestly, I would go along to that on a Friday night, and it was like coming home. It really was, just seeing different mediums every week. Uh, it just really got my interest. So I guess that's what started me off on the road to spirituality for sure. And you just gain a bit more knowledge as you go through, don't you? I never really wanted to be a medium or, get on the platform in that way. I literally just loved listening to but so, no, psychology, no,
yeah, I know
philosophy.
what you mean. The thing is, they do a lot of philosophy and that type of thing, don't they, as well, and
Exactly. And
messages
I could
and
ask questions.
yeah.
Yes. And I love asking questions. So that was perfect for me. I was able to ask questions. I remember going one night with my sister, and it was Mark Stone. And she said, "Don't you embarrass me tonight," because I was always asking the questions. And then he gave a message, and nothing meant anything to me, but she's got friends in Lincoln that she'd met when she went to America. And it was obviously them that had come through, the man of the couple that she met. And she knew all what was being told. And she said, "Oh, SH1T, I think that's for me." And I said, "And you tonight."
Wow.
Anyway, yeah, so he was marvelous and still is, Mark Stone. Yeah, absolutely brilliant. We're going to go and see him in Poole on Easter Day.
I I
Anyway,
like I like Mark Stone.
oh,
He's
you know him?
lovely.
Yes,
He's
yes,
lovely. Another local character to us, isn't he?
absolutely.
So, did
Yes.
you ever train in mediumships? Obviously, I know you do the Ho'oponopono and you do the happiness work, as well as all your events that you do some incredible events and amazing speakers. So, did you ever go onto platform?
No, I have done some training, like Mark come here and did a weekend. I've had Stephen Smith come here and do a weekend for us. Different people like that. So I do feel I could. I just, it's not really pulled me in that direction. What did pull me in that direction was where in 1997 I broke my leg,
Oh,
and totally, bottom step of the stairs, just twisted my ankle and broke the tibia and fibia. And so that, and I had a 5 and a 3-year-old boys then. They were 5 and 3,
oh my God.
and yeah, bless them. So my mum looked after us, and then that was in the October, and then in the following May, I broke it again. So I obviously hadn't learned what I needed to learn from the first break, so I needed to break it again.
I bet the medical staff couldn't believe it, could they?
Couldn't believe it. I phoned the Samaritans before I phoned Marks and Spencer's where I worked to tell them I was going to be off again. Because I'd always been, I was quite work orientated a bit, really. But when I had the boys, obviously I didn't want to be at work. And that was my way of being kept at home, wasn't it, with my boys?
Yeah.
So if you don't listen, yeah, but what was marvelous about that was like the first day back from hospital, I think I was in 12 days. And when I came back from hospital, the first thing on the first day was Oprah Winfrey was on at 12 o'clock. And I just knew, even though I'd never really watched Oprah Winfrey, I knew it was worth watching that. And I'd never watched daytime telly, never. Um,
Mm.
and and Wayne Dyer was the first person I listened to on her show. Well, that was it. Every day at 12 o'clock, she was showing, and it was a different inspirational person every day. Well, it just woke me up to, what I thought I knew about spirituality, but seeing those guests and what they knew about spirituality was like next level. It was amazing. So yeah, I devoured all that, like sent for all the books that they recommended and that. When you're like a sponge, you just can't stop learning, you just want to know more and more. And so that was really a wonderful introduction. That was 1997, 1998. And then in 2010, I was watching an old Oprah Winfrey. I was down in the lounge. What I can remember it clear as a day. I was doing the ironing. I had Oprah Winfrey on. It was an old one from 2007, but it was 2010 that I was watching this. And it was Robert Holden, happiness professor. Never heard of him. Born in Winchester. He was on the Oprah Winfrey Show in America as a
No.
yes, as a happiness professor. And I was like, and he asked these 5 questions, 5 statements. If you could change anything about your life, I would change almost nothing. You could score up to 35. Um, so each question was like 1 would be dreadful, 7 would be amazing. So 5 questions, 7 possibilities that you could have scored 35. And if I was honest, I only scored 16 or 17. And by then I'd been watching all these amazing, wonderful speakers, spiritual, you know, and getting their books, self-help type books. So I was amazed that if I was honest, I was only scoring 16 or 17. So I come up and put the computer on, looked him up, and he had a happiness course starting on my birthday of that year. The
Mm.
unbelievable thing as well was like that was my 49th birthday, and I didn't know at the time, but apparently every 7 years is a new beginning for us.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. And so
Wow.
7 sevens, 49, that was such a new beginning for me at 49 years old. It was really amazing.
Wow.
Yeah, went along to his training course. There were 64 people from all over the world, and the most amazing people. We were out in Hyde Park every morning doing laughter yoga before we went into the course, and that was so hilarious in itself. But yeah, but I came back from that week with all these ideas. I wanted to share it to all the children because I'd been a learning support assistant while my boys were at a certain school, so I just wanted all children to know, children to have a conversation about happiness and what
Yeah.
happiness means to children. And they would just, not have any hold ups. They just talk limitlessly about what they thought. So I was so buzzing about sharing that. But the schools, because I wasn't an actual teacher, I had no certificate as a teacher. I'd only been in learning support. But what I think was, I limited myself in that. I probably believed that I wouldn't be accepted. So the schools
Oh,
that I asked at that time, if I now I look back, I can see that, you know, so I probably thought they wouldn't accept me. But I sent to these different schools and they all said no, they couldn't take, I thought do an after school happiness class. Anyway,
isn't it
um,
interesting how we have this amazing passion and vision, but we limit our beliefs, we limit ourselves on our ability or our fears or our lack of confidence, whatever stops us. And what I find really interesting, sorry to sort of interrupt, but it's so I
oh,
get so
carry on, honestly.
it's so important, is that I don't know, you may well find this, and people go, well, the universe doesn't want me to do it then.
Mm.
And it's like, it's got nothing to do with the universe. You're actually stopping yourself.
Yeah.
And and it's
Well,
only
yeah,
with wisdom and that self-reflection as you get, or maybe as you get older, you go, God, I missed a trick there.
mm, without a doubt. Yeah, because then I went to the Family Matters Church up in the Salisbury Road, asked them. They didn't want to know because I wasn't a member of their church. And they were all about families, and I'd done lovely training sessions there. I hadn't run them, I'd been to them because,
Yeah.
helping my children, keeping up with what they're doing at schools and that. But no, they didn't want to know. Anyway, a year later, I went on a not
Hello,
um,
Bueno. Oh,
hypnotherapy.
hypnotherapy. Okay.
Yeah, in the morning, which I love hypnotherapy. Not that I'm trained in it, but I just love it. And in the afternoon was NLP, and I'd never heard of NLP, which is,
You're a
neuro-linguistic
linguistic.
programming.
That's it. Yeah.
And I didn't enjoy the hypnotherapy at all. All he wanted to talk about is how our brain functions, but I wanted to be hypnotized.
And
Anyway, so
God, it's amazing. We go in with these preconceived ideas of what we want, don't we?
but looking back, like you say, you can just see where you all, like the preconceptions, whereas now it's much more about surrender, acceptance. Yeah. But yeah, so the chap that was doing the neuro-linguistic program, he said we get trained in so many different things. And by then I'd been on angel card courses and uh, inner child, all different things. But definitely the happiness, that was my main, really, what I felt brought a passion about me and wanted to share. Um, and we do nothing with it. So the next day I went out and booked that was a year after the training. So that was, I went and booked a course in a hall for 6 weeks and started advertising my first happiness course. And I got 14 people come along and it was lovely. Yeah, really lovely. And it just went on from there. And it was a girl that came along to that happiness course that started the positive living group a couple of years later. I carried on with the happiness. But she started a positive living. And a month after she started it, she was having a situation at home and said, would I consider taking it over? And I didn't hesitate. I'd never considered it before, but so I took in April 2013. And funny enough, I will let you get a word in, Kath. Funny enough, Pam Gregory had given me a reading in 2012, and she said, in April 2013, I will meet loads of new people. Well, by mid-March of 2013, there was nothing, I wasn't even consciously thinking that, but looking back again, you can see it. 2013 March, I hadn't met a lot of people and there was nothing on the horizon. And then lovely Sally come along and said, would I consider doing that and taking it over the first week of April? And that's what Pam had seen in my chart, in my birth chart. I would be meeting loads of new people at the start of April 2013.
Wow.
And
And
it just went
it's
from there.
just exploded. Thing is, and you're so amazing as an event organizer.
Oh, I love it. Love it.
You're complete natural at it. I love your energy and your vibrancy at these events that you do. But I've got to go back first. Let me go back to happiness. So do you still run your happiness classes?
Yeah, yeah. I did two last year online, happiness and Ho'oponopono, because in actual fact, they're so interlinked in so many ways that I thought to combine the two is really, worthwhile. Obviously, I think most were just waiting for the Ho'oponopono because that can be for your mind, can be very, very good. Where they're talking about how much we need because of mental health and everything.
So
Ho'oponopono is amazing.
where did you train in Ho'oponopono?
Well, there again, see, at the happiness course, at the end of that, we carried on each week on a Wednesday, meeting up a small group of us, and we'd bring something else along each week that we'd learnt before and share with everyone.
Yeah.
Um, and so Jackie Cross come along. She's body, Jackie Cross, I expect, do you? She does the body talk, body
I know the
talk,
name.
and yeah, emotion code, the emotion code. But she came along and shared Ho'oponopono with us. And that was just as Joe Vitale had just come out with that book, Zero Limits. And I just loved the story. I really did. What she told us about it, it really resonated as being something very important. So I bought the CD, Zero Limit CD with Joe Vitale, and I really couldn't take, I'm so grateful that he brought it to the wider world. But if you listen to that CD, I probably would have been better buying the book, but I suppose it's the same anyway. But he's so American and he was plugging everything else that he did within it.
Right.
When he went on and did his second CD, At Zero, it's so different because so many criticised him for that first one, and I know we shouldn't judge, of course I know we shouldn't judge, but I couldn't listen to it because it was just too American and he was every opportunity plug in something else that he was doing. So it lost the meaning of the Ho'oponopono, even though I love the story about Ho'oponopono. So then later on, I did see that he was advertising a course that you could do where you could get a certificate, say you were a Ho'oponopono. And I thought, I'm going to do that. So I took and did that in 2019. And I thought
Wow.
it just went so well with the happiness. You
So
know,
for our listeners that don't know about Ho'oponopono, tell them what it is.
So Ho'oponopono there's four sentences basically. The thing is, what I love about it is it's just so simple.
Please.
You're just saying, I'm sorry, please forgive me, I love you, and thank you. Right, so I'll go through the quick story, shall I, of
Please.
Ho'oponopono? Yeah. So Dr. Hugh Len had a daughter that was 13. She had terrible shingles and no one had been able to cure it. And he was a definite scientific man. So he wasn't into anything about hugging trees or anything like that. And but his daughter, he would try every doctor in that. But then he heard about Morna Simeona, who was a kahuna in Hawaii. And so she was well known for going into hospitals, making them a much nicer, loving place, etc., with whatever she was doing called Ho'oponopono. So he took the daughter to see her, and she was cured. She was got better. So he knew there had to be something to it. To cut a long story short, he went along 3 times to her courses, but because she was on about elementals, dragon, everything that you wouldn't be talking about normally, hugging trees, spiritual ghosts, etc., not for him at all. But he, again, 3 times, he went back on the third time, and that was in 1978, and he stayed with her right through till she transitioned in 1992. Learning everything he could about Ho'oponopono. And then Joe Vitale heard this story about how he cured a ward of mentally, criminally insane patients. And so during
Mm.
that time that he was with her, during the 80s, he was asked to go to this hospital in Hawaii because of the amount of inpatients there. They were understaffed because no one wanted to be there. The staff manipulated the patients and vice versa, highly drugged, highly medicated, shackled. Horrible. Paint wouldn't stay on the walls. It was just a very horrible, unloved place. And Joe Vitale, not Joe Vitale, Dr. Hulen, um, went there on the proviso that he would not have to see any of the patients. And odd as that was, they agreed because no doctors had stayed. They couldn't keep anyone. So they said yes. After 4 months, and they thought he was very pleasant. He'd come in, say good morning, go in his office. And after 4 months, the medication was being lowered, the shackles were coming off, the staffing was overstaffed, not understaffed. Um, the whole place, paint was staying on the wall. I mean, it was completely changing the whole atmosphere.
Wow.
And this was the story that got my attention, really. And so they asked him if he would share what he's doing, because it was obvious whatever he was doing something. And so he got them all into a meeting and said he would just go into his room every morning, take a file of a patient out of the whatever he had in there, read through what they'd done, and they had committed what we would consider probably the most horrendous, heinous crimes that you wouldn't even want to think about. But if they'd been brought to his attention, then he was 100% responsible for that. So that had been brought into his reality for him to clear and clean on. So that's where the 100% responsibility for anything that happens in your reality. So you know where we say we create our own reality?
Yeah.
We create our own reality. Whatever's happening in our life, the common denominator is we're always in it.
Yeah. Agreed.
So that's what he was saying. And so he's taking 100% responsible. He's not judging these people.
Yeah.
All he's saying is, I'm sorry for whatever is in me that has created this event. Please forgive me for being unconscious to my own thought processes. I love you and I'm returning to source, and thank you. So basically, I'll go on to
Gives me
my
shivers.
Absolutely. I mean, it literally is that is the 100% responsible. You know, but you don't need to say those whole sentences. You literally just got to say, well, if you want to, this might not resonate with you, but it resonated with me. It resonates with millions of people around the world. I'm sorry, please forgive me. I love you and thank you. And that's all he would do until he felt some relief within himself about what he'd read. And once it comes away from him, it comes away from ancestors, it comes away from the person he's reading about. In actual fact, you are the only person in your reality. So when I did a talk down in Petersfield for Ho'oponopono, and I said, you're the only person in your reality, actually, and this is what you've created. So I like pointing to all the people. And then after the talk, this man said to me, you just said that you're the only person in reality. I said, yes. So he said, but you're talking to me. I said, yes. You just can't get your mind around it, can you? But we create our own reality. It's all illusion.
Amazing.
And then how do you explain that to anyone? It's just a knowing, isn't it?
It is. And there actually, language doesn't actually do it justice, because it is a knowing, it's a heart thing.
Yes.
And you can't actually put that into any words that do it justice, because, you know, I'm in my reality, you're in your reality, we're in this reality.
Yes.
And yeah, it's
Co-creating this reality. Yeah.
mind blowing.
Yeah. Yeah. I
So
love it.
do you do the Ho'oponopono courses with the happiness courses together still?
Yes.
Amazing.
I'm starting a new one in, I think it's June.
June
I'm going to
24.
June. A 6-week course. If it works out
Fantastic.
right, yeah, because I go away in May the 20th. So yeah, to work out a 6 week straight where I can go through it straight.
Is that
Anyway,
online?
it will be.
I think I might have to join you on that, Jackie. What not? Is it on an evening or a weekend?
Be a Tuesday evening.
I might have to join you on that. Ping me a message. Well, what are your links? Just while we're talking about that kind of thing, actually, what are your links for like your social media and your website and stuff?
So I'm on Facebook as Jackie White, or Inspirations PLG, which is short for Positive Living Group. I thought it was simpler to put PL. When I lost all my Facebook 4.5 years ago, I started again and I just put it up as PLG, which was so silly because it was Positive Living Group before, and then no one knew who PLG was. But anyway, it's picked up again now. So Inspirations PLG is my page on Facebook. Um, I'm just literally in the throes of getting an Inspirations PLG page on Instagram. And my website is jackie-white.co.uk. So as
Cool.
it's spelt there, but with a hyphen in the middle, .co.uk, jackie-white.co.uk.
Wonderful. We'll
Thank
put
you.
all your links and everything on the bottom of this anyway when we before it goes out.
Oh,
Um,
lovely.
so you've had quite a journey. So how did you end up? Because you do some really big events with some top names now, don't you? You know, Tim Wilde, Diana Cooper,
Yeah.
and a load of other, top names that are out there. How the
Well,
hell did you meet them and end up doing that? Was that through PLG?
yeah, absolutely. Well, Tim Wilde, funny enough, was when I don't know if you know Catherine Veer,
No.
but she lives in Southampton, and she was running the Holistic Connections in Southampton, and I was going to that once a month. And while I was there, Sally Sharon, I think Sally told me about this meeting, and Sally, yeah, Sally Sharon, she was talking to somebody, and I heard her talk about Tim Wilde. Like I on the edges got into that conversation, but I didn't hear it all and it wasn't really meant for me. But he sounded so interesting. So I came home, never heard of him before, and I looked him up on Facebook, found Tim Wilde, and just messaged him and said, would you consider coming and doing a talk for us at Inspirations Positive Living, in Southampton?
Hmm.
And so he come back and said, wow, I think it's about time I got out there. Never done a talk before in public. And now he's
Wow.
worldwide. He's an author and a worldwide speaker. I mean, just incredible. Never would I. Anyway, come along on this night, hot night in July 2014. It was a year after I started. And the most people that had ever come, I couldn't believe it because I mean, not having, but of course, where Sally knew about him, all the people within Ascension talking about Ascension did know him. I had heard of him. But he hadn't done a talk before and he forgot to bring his papers. He said he was absolutely what in himself.
I know that feeling.
And he was brilliant. He was absolutely brilliant. Yeah. And so he starts every year for me now, every January, first Tuesday of January. So this year it was the 2nd of January. And I said, do you want to leave it a week, Tim? No, he said, we'll go fresh out the traps. But
Love it.
that's bless his heart. And of course, because of that, we've done some very big events together. Yeah. And unbeknownst to me, because he never mentioned Diana Cooper that first night, which was amazing because, that's a big name to be linked with. And I went on to find out that he was writing the book at that time with her, the first book they wrote together, and they've written another one since.
Yeah.
Yeah, just incredible. So very fortunate there. But the big one that I did not interview, have hosted, Joe Dispenza.
How the hell do
Yeah,
you get hold of Joe Dispenza? Oh my God, it's
honest.
time to bow to Jackie. Christ. I knew you did some big names, but bloody hell, Jackie.
I mean, seriously, nothing could have worked out better than that. It was amazing. So what happened was Pam Gregory, the astrologer, she goes and she's a good friend, been a friend for 20 odd years. She goes all around the world wherever Joe Dispenza goes, or did before that 4 year ago
Yeah.
episode.
Escapade, yeah.
Escapade, yeah. And so she went everywhere with him. And then I saw a thing saying that he was going to be in the UK, in London and Birmingham. So I messaged Pam and said, do you think he'd come to Southampton for us? And she said, no, I don't really, Jackie, because he's doing more weekends now than he's doing evening talks. But here's an email, and that was like his personal PA type. Email her. She said, I've just written that book and it took him 3 months to answer, but he has done the forward for it, or, a testimonial blurb thing. But it took 3 months. So she said, don't expect an answer very quickly. I said, oh, absolutely. And you just let it go to the universe and whatever comes,
Yeah.
So I wrote the email directly. And the next morning, I had 3 possible dates that he'd come to Southampton.
No.
I mean, literally, you had to bring me off the ceiling. That was 2017, mind. I managed to get him back again because he's just flying, isn't he? I mean, he's got millions of people everywhere. But what happened then, obviously, that was huge. And then Sharon Keenan was helping me find venues and everything, which was marvelous of her. She said I'd have to calm down because it's just like the enormity of it because of him. And so, yeah, I went, got the venue. But the next week, the next speaker that I had, I'd never met him, but I'd heard he was a Louise Hay, Heal Your Life. He trained in that, So he was a Heal Your Life practitioner. Paul Scadding. Never heard of him. He'd not done a talk for me before, so I didn't really know. But anyway, came along and he was very funny. Didn't have many there because no one knew him. But anyway, he was very funny. We had an hour to wait for him to get the train, and I hadn't told anyone then because I had to sign contracts, and it was a big commitment. I mean, massive commitment, really, in what I had to raise to have him there, And I'd never done anything like that before. So I'd not told anyone. But we had an hour to wait for his train to go back to Bournemouth. So we were in the car together. And I thought, he said something about Joe Dispenza. And I thought, well, I've got to tell him. I said, I'm busting anyway. I'm going to tell you. I'm signing a contract next week for Joe Dispenza. But I didn't want to fluke it, when you talk about it. I said, but I'm trusting that it's going to go ahead. And anyway, well, he was beside himself. He was going to go to America to see him. And he said, he's coming here. He said, I'm an events organizer.
No.
So that was the next week. So I had an events organizer. He knew an advertising person that could go to every social media because I wasn't good on social media. That's still pretty similar to today. But, but honestly, yeah. So we had Liz was the social media lady, Paul and myself. And it was just amazing. Everything flowed. We got the numbers that we needed to get what we needed for that. Got the venue. Amazing. It was just incredible.
Wow. Where did you hold that then with Joe Dispenza?
Southampton Football Stadium.
Bloody hell.
Yeah, but in the room upstairs.
I was going to say, Christ. Blimey. But in St Mary's, Christ.
Yes. I mean, I think today it would be the whole stadium.
Wow, Jackie, that's phenomenal.
Yeah, it was amazing. And the funny thing is, my dear friend Joe Hayes, I mean, I've only known him 3 years now, almost 3 years to the day, I reckon. And this girl had said to him to get in touch when you settle down in Southampton, get in touch with Jackie. But said that I'd hosted Joe Dispenza. That's why he got in touch with me, really, because he'd been on stage with Joe Dispenza 3 times. And so when I went to London, because after that they invited me to the London weekend that they had coming up, which I went to, which was amazing. And Joe Hayes, who's a friend of mine now, was up on stage with him, just telling his situation of how Joe Dispenza had helped him.
Wow. How
really, the different synchronicities that have come about from doing all of this.
But it comes down to sort of 2 or 3 things, doesn't it? Trust, letting it go, and flow.
Yes, absolutely.
And if you think back to when, like, your days when you started your happiness thing, and it was completely flatlining because nobody was interested.
Yeah.
And then as you grow,
yeah,
and the synchronicities, literally, they will fall in your lap, won't they?
Honestly, some of the synchronicities I've had happen over these years have just been incredible. Just I'll just say as for instance of a synchronicity. Jackie Deakin used to do the positive living in Burwood, and that's 23 miles from me. So I wasn't even considering positive living then. I just liked the concept of it. And she'd only just started. So I went along to the verbal one because it was about theta healing.
Yeah.
And so there was only literally, I think it was about the second week she'd done it or something. And there was only about 7 of us in the room. But the 2 people next to me, Bob and Daphne, Bob went out to get a cup of tea. Daphne said, "Oh, will you be coming every week?" And I said, "Oh, I'm 23 miles from here. I doubt it." So she said, "Oh, where do you live then?" I said, "Oh, Totton." And she said, "Oh, my best friend lives in East Totton." I said, "Oh, I didn't know there was an East Totton." Anyway, to cut a long story short, her best friend, so we live in a close here. And at the end of our close is a little cul-de-sac, because the close isn't very big. And then there's a little cul-de-sac at the end. And she's number 5 in that little 5. There's 5 houses in that cul-de-sac. She's number 5 and we're number 5. And everything that gets delivered to her best friend, and it had been her best friend since Portsmouth, 8 years old. They
Wow.
lived together near each other in Portsmouth. Then she lives here, her friend Nikki, and Daphne lives in Bournemouth. And I'm sat next to them, 23, all the houses and all the roads in between there and 23 miles. And literally, I know her best friend because everything gets delivered to my house for her friend.
Wow.
I mean, that was such a coincidence,
It's
synchronicity.
it's just fabulous, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah, but so many other things like that as well. Quite incredible.
So have you got anything coming up with Tim Lachelle? You do the January one. Do you do anything else in the year, or is it just
Just
January
done
you
a
do?
whole weekend. Just done a whole weekend at Alma's Court in Lymington, which is so special. You have people flying in from all over the world for that. That Alma's Court hotel is so beautiful. It nearly doubled in price from last year to this year, mind. Everything is,
Yeah.
anyway, we just visualize that it's all coming down in price. Anyway,
Yeah. Set the intention.
um, no, it was marvelous. Like thinking for next year, let's hope, that it can be done.
Mm.
So yeah, that was amazing. And then just this weekend, we've had the Empowering Speakers weekend, Light the Way Transformational Day. So we started the day with Chloe Goodchild. It's all about sound. Her voice is amazing. And she's like the naked voice. So she's been in Madison Square Garden singing, Hyde Park, all different amazing venues with, oh, what's the name? He's very sacred, the man. Um,
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
Long hair. Oh my God, I know what you mean.
Oh my God.
Totally
Didn't come
begins
to
with
me.
S.
Sorry?
Oh, if it's who I'm
No,
thinking of, don't know. Go on.
Dalai Lama, the Dalai
Oh,
Lama.
Dalai Lama. Oh, him. Okay. Oh,
Yes,
crikey.
been with him, doing an event with him, all different. So anyway, she started the day for us. Then it was Diana Cooper and then Adrian Lee. Diana's was all about the golden era of 2032. 2032, everything's going to be community.
Wow.
We're all going to be one, living in peace, love, joy, and harmony.
That'd be nice.
If you want to be on that vibration, and it's our choice, do we want to be on that vibration or do we want to stay on this third vibration?
No, let's go up.
Yeah, so we're already on 4 and we can see what 5's going to look like, but we can look back at 3 and think, no, thanks.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, yeah, 5th dimension, 2032. She's always said 2032. Even when I went to see her probably 30 years ago in Southampton, she was saying about 2032. And then you think, crikey, 2032. Now you're thinking, God, that's only, 8 years? Not even, 8 years.
Yeah.
So yeah, and she's never had, but she said we're well on target. I mean, Tim says it's going to be before that anyway, but it is going to be beautiful. If we want it to be beautiful, we are creating our own reality. So if you're willing to, switch everything off, that tells fibbers.
Yeah. Yeah. If you want to live in that flatlining reality of doom, gloom, and
Yeah. And
crap
fear,
and
complete fear.
fear,
Or do you want to
absolutely.
live in love?
Yeah, because everything is. The thing is, there's two things in life, isn't there? Love and fear.
Yes.
Everything comes down to, doesn't matter how you look at the branches of the tree,
Oh,
everything comes down to one of two things, love or fear. And everything else is an offshoot of those things, one way or another. And you have a
completely,
choice,
completely,
complete
completely.
choice.
And actually, we're just going back to Ho'oponopono and happiness. The whole ethos of both of those is self-love. When it really comes down to it, it's self-love because you're the only person in your reality. If you don't love yourself, if you got thoughts around yourself and regrets and not able to forgive and that, what good is that doing you? So the simplicity of Ho'oponopono is you're just clearing yourself of all that. That's past. The future you don't know, so you're in the now with Ho'oponopono. I'm sorry, please forgive me, I love you and thank you. And as soon as my awareness comes to those four sentences, or even I love you, thank you is enough, because divinity knows what you're saying. um that that's a whole meaning intention for all of it is to clear and cleanse yourself of everything,
Yeah.
because it's all old memories and tapes replaying over and over again. When anything happens to us, you know how we go over and over.
Oh my God. Yeah, and it robs you of your peace, doesn't it?
Oh, exactly. Whereas Ho'oponopono brings your peace to you.
Yeah, I love Ho'oponopono. Oh, I always call it Ho'oponopono because I can never say it properly.
I
Sorry.
mean, Dennis that helps me, he says Ho'oponopono, Ho'oponopono, but I always just say Ho'oponopono. It is what it is. Yeah, you know what I mean.
Yeah, absolutely. We all know what each other means when we start saying Ho'oponopono because it's,
Yeah, exactly. But
just
that's
can't say
just
it.
the
Too many ends and
simplicity.
O's in there.
Yes.
It's about that
And
long, isn't it?
And actually, it just means the delete key. Ho'oponopono in itself is a word that deletes,
Yeah.
It just means the delete key to make good or to make right. So yeah, you're making right. And like when Morna Simeona used to do it, she would have the whole family. If there was a fallout in the family, she would be asked to go along to the family. You'd all sit in a room and you wouldn't leave that room until you were all at peace with each other.
Wow. Just think if we could resolve conflict
Mhm.
through joy
Yes.
and Ho'oponopono. Ah, wouldn't that but again, you just thinking about that frequency, that vibration, how it just you can feel that almost shifting in the cells of the body, can't you?
Absolutely.
It's that lift.
Yeah. I was triggered on something last week. Someone sent me a message, and they do say if you get triggered now, that is part of your shadow coming up,
Yeah,
because we've all got the shadow side.
yeah.
So yeah, this really triggered me. I was trying to arrange something. Um, oh, I can't even go there, but
No, don't go there.
no, no. But anyway, as soon as I brought in I love you and thank you, I love you and thank you, because thank you, he was showing me what I needed to look at in myself.
Yeah,
So it was, and as soon as you consciously think, I'm sorry, please forgive me, I love you and thank you, I'm back to peace.
yeah, absolutely. Because, yes, that shadow work's huge, and it's as a lot of the work that I do with the dragons is based around the shadow work. But it doesn't need to rob you of your peace, does it?
No,
That acknowledgement, that acceptance that, okay, I'm being shown something here that needs looking at, understanding, acknowledging, healing, whatever within me, because each one's different.
yes,
And come back to that point of peace.
absolutely. Yeah.
Love it. Jackie, I knew it would be. It's been a ball talking to you.
Thank
Thank
you, honestly. Well, every evening you've ever done for me. I mean, the people that have come along or the amount that have joined online and that, there's such an interest. And it's, with Diana Cooper, she's about dragons, unicorns, all those sort of things, as nutty as you. So, and people love that because it's true, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. It's amazing. Thank you so much for joining me. And guys, I will see you all in the next one. Take care.
Thank you.